submission. If the time runs out, you can win by points, and if your opponent gets DQ'd, you also win. So obviously submission's pretty straightforward. You submit, you win. And the second way of winning is by points. So how it works is at the end of the time, they will do a comparison of the points between the two players in order of points, advantages, and penalties. So if the points are tied, they look at advantages. If they're both tied, then they'll look at penalties. So I guess first of all, we'll go through how you can get points. So I guess all matches start on the feet. So you can get points by taking your opponent down. So first things first, 2 points to take your opponent down. So an example of this is a takedown. You come in with a double leg, 2 points. Another way that you may get this in the comp as well is if your opponent grips and they sit, and you get a foot trip like that, even catching them on the way down could get you a point, depending on the rev. Some people are more lenient than others, but a lot of the time if someone pulls guard and you sweep their foot and then you look up, you're gonna get 2 points. So that's points on the feet. So if we go down here, so now you've taken your opponent down, now you're stuck in a guard. So if you're the top player and you pass your opponent's guard and you consolidate the position, so you need to stabilize for 3 seconds, you come down and you stabilize past the legs, you're going to get 3 points. So just keep in mind, guys, the side control portion isn't the 3 points, it's actually passing the guard. So let's say I pass the guard, boom, and I go onto knee ride without going to side control. That's 3 points for passing guard, 2 points for side control. So that's 5 points. Now if I, do a different sort of pass up here, boom, and I pass straight into mount, again, that's 3 points for the pass, and then 4 points for mount. So the other points that I've just touched upon, so knee ride is 2 points. So if you get from a side control to knee ride, that's 2 points. Now if I go into mount from knee ride, that's 2 points and then 4 points. Let's say Mikai turns and I get the back here, that's 4 more points. But let's say Mikai goes and escapes here and I go to mount, that's not another 4 points. So you can't go like down in the hierarchy. So let's say I'm in mount here and I go back to knee ride, that's not going to be like mount points, the knee ride points again. So you just got to keep going up in the hierarchy. And then the last one is if Mikai's on his back, belly down, just fall down, Mikai. Yep. And I'm here, this is called back mount as well. So this is a different position to Mikai, can you just fall in there? That's a different position to this, but they're both worth 4 points. Any questions so far in the point system?
Do you get points if you take down and you pass straight away?
So if you stand up and let's say I come in for a double leg, you come down, and I don't fall in his guard, then it's just the takedown points for 2. So if you're here and they catch something and then you come, then it's 2 plus 3. So you always have to be in the guard and pass for it to be an actual guard pass. So if you don't fall in the guard, the pass points aren't there. The other, I guess from the guard now, it's pretty simple. So let's say you're in butterfly guard, mid-guard, boom, and he sweeps, that's 2 points. Now the other thing that sometimes happens if Mikai sweeps, and I turtle, then that's no points. So you need to get the guard pass for that to be a point. What else is there from guard? Let's say Mikai's got guard, I'll make like a half guard or something, and he takes the back from here. Well, so there's no guard pass there. So there's no sweep points, it's just he's taking the back. So that's just a 4 points straight off the bat. Okay, so any other points that I've missed? Yeah, what counts as back control? Okay, so what counts as back control? So these are really good controls, guys, like the triangle or even like the half hook, but that's not going to be classified as the points. So the points are going to be engaged by the rev when you get both your hooks in here. And you have to hold this for 3 seconds. So everything that we've said with the points so far, if you don't hold it for 3 seconds, it doesn't count, but you'll get what's called an advantage. So let's say I'm here and I get it in, 1, 2, 3 points. If I'm here and I'm here, Mikai defends it, then I'll get an advantage for almost taking the back, but not actually taking the back. The other thing would be, so if this is another one that sometimes happens. So just to go back to it, so let's say I'm here, I pass and Mikai turtles, that's an advantage for me. But let's say Mikai's here and you go to the back, and he doesn't get it, and I turtle, that's 2 points. Does that make sense? So Mikai was in guard, and he ended up on top of you, in total guard, so that's 2 points. But on the other one, it was, he's trying to pass, he doesn't get the pass, and you go to turtle. So that's the difference. He was already on top, and he ended up on top, that's why it's an advantage. He started on bottom, he ended up on top, that's why it's 2 points. Does that make sense, guys? So let's say Mikai, what? Yeah, you can do that too. The other one that sometimes happens is I pass and Mikai will like just invert, here, and you've got this here, that's not an advantage. So you need your opponent to turtle for that portion to be an advantage. And like Mikai just said, if he just like sweeps straight into side control, again, that's no pass points there. That's just the sweep points. Any questions so far?
There is a saying like a referee standing up, like if your opponent turtles, you're not moving them, you find him game, you're not going to really allow about yourself.
No, so they won't stand you up, but they'll penalise you for stalling. So I guess at this point we can sort of go through what constitute penalty points. So the classic one is if I'm playing and I don't get it and I sit down to guard, that's a classic penalty, and then they'll get you to stand up. So with the penalties, if you have one, just count it as a penalty. When you get your second penalty, your opponent gets an advantage. When you get your third penalty, your opponent gets 2 points. You also have the penalty. When you get your fourth penalty, you get DQ'd. So like I said, that's sort of in the count back portion. If you have the same points, same advantages, then they'll look at the penalties. And like sometimes there's a bit of strategy involved. Like you don't want to give up 2 points, or you're happy to give up an advantage or whatever so you can stall, but that's sort of where the strategy comes in. The other things that constitutes a penalty is if you start ripping inside the gi, that'll be a penalty. Pants as well, if you're inside the cuff, that's a penalty. Yeah, you're allowed to go inside the pants and gear, it's no problems. If you like start ripping someone's finger, that will be a penalty. Yeah, that pulls. Oh yeah, so the way you get advantages, I guess we can go to now, is the classic one is if we're both standing, we both get a grip and sit down. Right now, it's 0 points. When I sit up, I'll get an advantage. So like from a strategy perspective, if you like passing, it's good to do a double pull and sit up because you get advantage for referee. Whereas if you think I just pulled and I was standing, 0-0. So you really want to sit down at the same time as your opponent, or like I said, as they're coming down, go for a foot trip and you get 2 points. And the other ways you can get advantage is if you almost pass. So let's say I'm here, I go past Mikai's legs and it's 1, 2, Mikai's framing and he gets it back. That would potentially be an advantage. In reality, you'd probably have to go to here. 1, 2, if that pulls back, and that's going to be almost the pass, so that's going to be advantage. The other way you can get advantage is if Mikai like shoots like a omoplata or something, like a submission, and like boom, and I get out of it, that's going to be advantage as well. So almost submissions or almost points is going to lead to an advantage. And what else would there be? Oh yeah, so just a few little gaming points is to game the game, I guess, is you have to be aware when you're competing the boundaries. So if you're in a submission and you walk out, that's an automatic loss. You have to be aware of that. If you're the other thing you have to be aware of is if we're both standing, okay, and let's say the outline of the mat's here, and Mikai's going forward, and I'm just walking back here, you can't do that. What's going to happen is you're going to get a penalty. So you're not going to get DQ, but you'll get a penalty against you.
Warning
You get a
and
warning.
then DQ. I mean, not DQ, warning then penalties.
So what you want to
Single
do?
ones.
So what you want to do is, if Mikai's coming here and you see the outline, just go sideways. And so if I go back, and I start going sideways, and then Mikai pushes me out, that's okay. It's only if you like go directly back, they're going to start thinking that you're fleeing the mat. And the other thing that you really want to be careful of when you're competing, so this is another tip, is if we finish like a sequence or something, and whatever it may be, we end up here, and the ref's about to reset you, make sure like, they're going to be like, oh, break it up, just hold it, and just be like to the ref, I've got this, and I got this. Because like, even last comp, Dane got jipped out of position, because when the ref said stop, he stopped and let go. But of course, you got to look out for yourself first. So make sure you like keep hold of it, even if they want you to let go. And just like reiterate to them, I got this grip and I got this grip, and they're going to be like, oh, okay, cool. And then you go back and you verbally tell them again, remember, I had this and I had this, and then you probably won't be jipped out of a position because everyone's going to like jockey for a better grip or a better position. Like you should do it too as a competitor. Like you should get a bit of a deeper grip, or you should let them not be in as deep a position potentially. And obviously you just got to like fight for that. And yeah, that's probably the thing that you need to consider when you're playing Jiu-Jitsu, because it's a game, and there's like ways in which you want to sort of, give yourself the best opportunity. But like I said before, if you get a submission, it's an instant win. So you can also go and be aggressive and go towards that as well. But the better you get, the more competitive the matches become, and it's harder and harder to get submissions. So it's more and more important to think about strategy as you go forward. Any questions, guys?
Reaping, is it? It's a penalty? Is it DQ?
Reaping, they'll reset these days.
Right.
So that's a good question. So in the gi, in no gi, at the high levels now you're allowed to reap. But if this foot goes to this side of the belly button, that's the reap, like you just said. And what they will do is they'll just like stop the match and get them to come. Because sometimes it's like accident. But if Mikai like reaps hard like this, then you might be penalized. But if it's like accidentally goes over, then they're just gonna like reset and you're gonna continue now. Whereas before you'd just be
Can you get disqualified for stalling?
No. So if you're stalling, technically I think it's about 20 seconds. So let's say it's double guard full, nothing's happening for 20 seconds. They're going to stand you back up, and what you'll do is you get a penalty each. So even if, let's say I'm in close guard here, there's like a minute to go, usually they're going to start the count of 20 seconds after like, maybe you're already doing 20 seconds of stalling and you're not moving. Then they won't open the position up, they're just going to give you a penalty.
To go out on
Both of
bottom?
you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Unless it's super obvious that one person's stalling, then the one person will get it. The classic place you'll get the stalling all is in side control. So let's say I pass Mikai and I'm here and I don't do anything for like a minute, then the guy will usually tap you on the shoulder and like tell you you've got a penalty. Yes. Yeah.
And then they slammed me like while I was in the
Yeah.
crash. That should be DQ.
That's a
Or
DQ.
there's like
It's 100%
rain,
DQ.
but yeah.
Yeah. So if just say you like fall a little bit and you like, you don't like jump and slam, it's one thing. But if the person obviously tries to slam you open, anyway, IBJJF or anyone who uses the IBJJF system, that will be a DQ. So even let's say they got you in a triangle and they stand up and try to slam you to open it up, that will also be a DQ.
Do advantages just add up like points, or do they actually give you some sort of like effect in the match?
So yeah, they just add up like points. So let's say you're winning in the points portion of it. So you're winning 5-2, the other guy has like 20 advantages to your heel, you still win. So it's just the count back. If the count back of the points are the same, then they look at advantages. So if you're getting like a sweeping battle situation, sometimes then the advantage becomes important. And like I said, the better you get, the closer the matches are, and therefore the advantages are going to mean a lot more. But usually a white belt you win pretty